even for players like Gods, who have done a ton in this community already and has kind of found himself as the leader of this team. And so let's go ahead and take a look at this roster. So we've got Hedan all the way from Europe, the Journeyman, going to be playing Zenyatta for second win, and then Technique. I'm a numbers guy.
Well, maybe you're just being extra European, but that doesn't help Sherrick stay alive. Actually, trades going back and forth. Both main tanks lost across the aisle, but with that DMAC onto Gods, it's going to confer a slight advantage for second win, of course, as the words leave my mouth. Again, more trades coming through. Neither team, getting that clean sweep.
Neither team getting that clean sweep, but Bermuda is showing themselves on the point right now. But how long is it going to take for them to come back? Not that long, as Ultimate Left going to use that rally to try to keep Bermuda in this. And on the objective, going down though, is going to keep things a little complicated for Bermuda, but Technique is going to go down for a second win. And so this has been a back and forth brawl. Second win is replacing two members right now, which could be challenging for them from here on out.
Yeah, especially such a critical role as a Zarya. You have to ride that fine line between finding energy, playing aggressively and absorbing that, and making sure that you can still provide a little bit of peel to keep your own team, your backline, your Reinhardt, your D.Va safe. So Bermuda, they do own this point for now. Not really any ultimates to speak of except for this Transcendence and Umte's possible Shatter, but already getting taken low here will force the rally in from Speedily. Yeah,
Speedily is going to allow Second Win to get to those other ultimates, and now they have all of them at their disposal. Technique going to go ahead and throw that Graviton Surge. We're going to see our Bigger Bang combo. Shatter's there as well, but the Bigger Bang went off to the side. The trajectory on that was a little suspect. Bermuda now going to have their own Graviton Surge by God, so really good start. The thing about those Eden grabs is sometimes the team will still lose. In this situation, I don't think that's going to happen, but Second Win now have that energy. They ate that grab, and now they have that tempo on their side.
Exactly. Gods, he's well known of being one of those ultimate eating divas, equally capable to get those self-destructs and those eats. As we see the point devolving now.
All right, so we're getting, we're looking at a frame right now, so we're going to have to do the audio thing as well. Hey, we got it back. Bermuda now going to go ahead and keep that point after that fight. So after investing Hello on Halo's sound barrier, Second Win were still unable to grab that win.
Yeah, God's really literally sucking the momentum out of Bermuda via that grab. Guru will have it close up next time around, but Second Win are in that one fight territory. They must make an incision on the point now. Otherwise, Bermuda will take them very early around.
And so Bermuda, if they win this fight, they do take that round. Gods and the rest of Second Win definitely don't want to happen as they're jostling for position. Second Win, though, is going to use that Earth Shatter, knock 3 onto the ground for Bermuda, but everyone's going to stay alive because of Pizza Demon, and now the Graviton Surge is also going to come out. The Transcendence is on the other way, and now we've got the Sound Barrier Earth Shatter combo. Bermuda still very healthy at the end of this fight. Second Win losing members. Sherrick so low. God so low. But this goes to Umte going to try to make things a little bit interesting for Second Win. But at this point, it might be too late. Bermuda looking good.
Bermuda taking a very unexpected round here on Shrine. Second Wind, working with many new members on the team. Hedan and Technique. Those are two, very vital roles. You have that Zenyatta and you have the Zarya. So the Zenyatta, of course, everybody knows that Discord Orb can't be understated. And not just that, but the call out as well. We all play Zenyatta in our quick play and ranked games. And the purple balloon, just throwing it onto one of your opponents is not going to do everything for you. The focus fire and the communication has to follow through. Second Win, maybe struggling a little bit to find that momentum in the last round because we saw they had many ultimates up, just weren't able to get much from them.
And so Second Win now going to be coming in from behind here on a Village. No maze on either side. That's usually we do see that on this map, but we're going to be sticking with Goats.
Goats is the name of the game right here. Bermuda definitely going to be buoyed by that early round, but we have to remember that control tends to favor the underdog here. This is not a time for you to start letting that discipline slip. Bermuda do own this point right away here. They have the presence. Umte, though, getting taken very low. Guru as well, and Umte's out of it.
But God's got D-Max. It's actually even on both sides. Technique now going to get that extra kill onto Ultimate Weapon. Now they've got the numbers. They've got the 6v2 or 5v2. Now Second Win will be taking the point. So good comeback on this one. It's easy for teams to let bad rounds snowball, but Second Win did not do that.
Exactly. Strong mental from Second Win right here to rebound right back, and Sherrick will have that Earth Shatter to potentially open or close out this fight, whatever his team needs him to do, as Bermuda are still just now touching 60% to their first ult. So Second Wind, again, have the tools to be able to hold here. What we don't want to see is something that Chicken Tendies kind of let happen to them many times, getting their death ball split up by the opponents as Bermuda make their way onto the point.
So as they do make their way onto the point, Second Wind looking at 2 ultimates. Bermuda don't have any to their name, so this is a jump rush potential for Bermuda. They want Second Wind to invest. That they do speedily. Going to go ahead and use that rally. Earthshatter going to be coming out. 4 members on Bermuda have to go back to spawn, but this is a fight that they were always going to lose.
Yeah, Bermuda didn't really have the ability to hold there, not really any ultimates to speak of. Second Wind themselves, though, showing some good discipline. It's not just about taking those easy one fights, but making them as valuable, as clean and crisp as possible. And they will still have a grab, a transcendence, nearly the bomb up as well for the combo here. Bermuda, all the pressure is on their shoulders to make this next fight work.
They're running out of time. There's only 30 seconds left if they want to take this point away from Second Wind. And as you said, this is the best opportunity that they're going to have. If they don't win it here, they're going to lose the round. As Second Wind has been able to get this to 80% almost, 75% now. And they do have that Graviton Surge and Self-Destruct combo. It's a bigger bang. Let's see if Eden's going to be able to make some noise on this Zenyatta. He's not going to be able to pass. Oh no, God's actually going to go ahead and eat a second Graviton Surge there. And we saw what happened last time. Second Wind took that momentum and they stuck with it, but shoot, he's going to get that self-destruct kill and the D-Max, so not a lot of tankiness on Second Wind's side. This is a fight that they're okay to lose. As we said, Bermuda, this was their best chance, and they took it, but now they have to hold on to it for another 100 seconds.
In fact, they can't lose another fight, and that's going to be a lot more difficult than it seems on paper. 1 sound barrier available for OG, but you'd really hope for at least 2 more, because with the way that Second Wind have been playing around their tanks, Technique, although he's only 30% up to the grab right now, he's probably going to have it in just a couple of fights, and Sherrick already touching that 90% point to the Earthshatter.
Well, it's kind of like when you know how much is in the time bank, right? Second Wind can meter their ultimate appropriately. They know how much they have to work. Bermuda has to stick to this every single fight. They're going to use the sound barrier to try to keep going on this objective right now. But with that Earthshatter ultimate wet, though, is going to be going down. Bermuda's not going to last long on this objective. Second Wind will be taking this round in the end, evening things up 1-1, and everything feels right.
I mean, not if you're a Bermuda fan. Unfortunately, your team took a round right there, but Second Wind able to even things right up and showing a lot of control. Gods, man alive. Somebody feed this poor player. That has to be the explanation, because it is not just today. He has made a name for himself with his ability to gobble up all of those ultimates starting in the very first week of Contenders this season, and he hasn't slowed that momentum at all.
Very first week of Contenders, very first grad coming from Bermuda, got 8. And so Second Wind gonna hopefully take this momentum onto this 3rd round, and we might be seeing some environmental kills, as this is Sanctum, the land of Winston Fisticuffs.
I mean, or as your second home, Boop City.
Boop City, yeah. You know, a military kid growing up, so we had to move away
a lot
2
of
years
moving
later, but I left an impact.
Yeah, I mean, they've named an entire environmental kill after you. That's going to be some feels good, as Bermuda actually taking, you know, an interesting route, going on that right side flank, so you will have to see that lead come in from Umte. So that's burned, and Second Wind, though, not getting taken off guard.
Hey, no one is going to do it. Steve and Sherrick coming in. That means he didn't have to jump to get back out, so he's actually going to get moved, but it's a 5v5 right now. Umte going to go ahead and cede a little bit of space, get those healings, because he's only got 62 HP, and they finally do give him that pack. Bermuda, though, this is still 5v5. This is still anyone's game. Maybe we're going to see a 6v6. So that's exactly what Bermuda wants right now. They're finally going to engage onto the point right before Second Wind is able to cap it. Everyone is back. Sherrick is back. Umte has to leave, and this is going to leave the rest of his team open to some damage. Sound barrier, they're going to keep that from happening, so definitely needed that sound barrier if they wanted to stay on this point. But Second Wind staying a little bit longer. Sherrick going down, though, again. This has been pretty back and forth and even throughout. Bermuda now have an advantage.
Oh, but the grab comes in, and Gods wants to deny them. You've seen him eat up ultimates before. Let's let him show you what his own ultimate looks like. Takes down Shu, and Second Wind continue to own this point. You brought up a great call right there, Boop. Sherrick leaping out of there. He stayed alive himself for a few more seconds, but that opened up Hedon to get picked off by Bermuda. So those are the kind of decisions that you have to make as a tank. If I go in here aggressively and have to leave very, inopportunely, it's not just going to affect me, but the rest of my team as well, as we see that jump forced again by Sherrick fairly early on.
And so the rally was caught by Ultimate, so they actually have a limited amount of time. And a Kobe Graviton Surge, that's the one that doesn't get eaten. Self-destruct is there. Shu gonna get that kill. 6v5 now for second win, but that didn't, or for Bermuda, but that didn't matter for the last time. Hello on Halo gonna go ahead and invest that sound barrier. They want as many percentage points as possible, but a double boot from Hello on Halo is gonna even things up here. Gods is demech, so again, another back and forth fight, but Umte's Primal Rage is gonna be the cherry on top for Bermuda, who are able to take it, and he's gonna go down. You know, Hello, I'm Halo still playing the game.
Oh my gosh. Hello, I'm Halo. Hello, I am beastly right here as Sherrick. The Winston that pops the Primal Rage second gets way more value as second wind again continue to hold on to this point. They own Mondada's gold. And second wind 87% now. Bermuda needs a miracle.
Bermuda should be keeping this point here. They had the numbers. At a point, they have 2 more members in second win, but second win has been known for the grit. They don't give up. Umte gonna jump right off of the stage. Hello, I'm Halo definitely helping with that. That's only gonna get worse on the next patch. Bermuda now functioning with 2 less members at 99-0. Second win in the driver's seat, but OG trying to get some environmental kills of his own. Second win though with control. Bermuda needs to pick off a couple more members of second win if they want an opportunity to come back on this point, but Hedan gonna find that frag onto Shu. Second win still maintaining their advantage. Things are becoming a little bit more complicated as this fight does drag out. Hedan comes just in time with that Zoom Yada, that transcendence, and now the other one, Bermuda, is gonna come through. Now we're gonna see the close quarters combat, which Umte is gonna be very successful in on it. That Wrecking Ball sound barrier now for second win. Ham, this fight is still going.
Oh my goodness, Umte here on a little bit less of a desperation. Hammond getting some good work here, but the rest of his team falling in droves. Hello, I'm Halo gets the fist kill onto Guru, and I feel like that kind of, you know, just sums up in 2 images this entire round so far. It is just a matter of time before second wind clean things up, and they do, taking Nepal.
They take Nepal 100-0 in one of the longest last fights that I've seen in a while. Tons of ultimates, tons of particle effects, but in the end, second win do take that 2-1 and move themselves up 1-0 total against Bermuda. No one wants to drop maps, and Bermuda technically still in this, right? And
yes.
So if they're able to win out, you know, there is a possibility that they do not get relegated, but they're definitely in the worst position out of all the teams.
Currently sitting at 0-4. If they could take this map win, they at least have, or a series win, then they're at least sitting at 1-4. You know, so there's still
2 other teams.
Yes, with 2 other teams. So it's not the end of the road for them, but with the way that control has kind of gone, hello, I'm Halo. Like, I don't know, Lucio, he's a frog, but I'm guessing like Gecko, just kind of living on those walls, looking for those opportunities. And here's the thing, there's essentially no counterplay against a Boop. You're either going to die or you're not going to die, right? And the ability of him to just pick up all of those frags without using an ultimate, without, you know, using really anything except that right click is such incredible value. We talk a lot about, you know, tempo, momentum. Gods is a name that definitely comes to mind because your whole team is banking on having that grab land and then finding that follow through so you can go in very aggressively, burn that speed boost really early, and surprise, no grab to be found.
Yeah, well, it's the equivalent of getting a long-range Widow headshot or that, you know, volley frag with a Zenyatta. When you're able to take people out of the game without having to invest that ultimate, like we see in GOATs all the time. The Graviton comes out, the bigger bang comes out, then the Earth Shatter, and then the charge before the bigger bang.
There's like an order of operations,
exactly,
right?
And it's practiced. And so when you're able to take people out of that practice, not only does it give you a numbers advantage, it also puts the opposing team on the back foot in terms of tempo and how they play because they're not used to being in that position. Other good examples, but, you know, covering the body with reses, right? Things that we just haven't seen in GOATs so far.
Yeah, it's going to be, you know, some changes coming through with that new patch, which will be the live one for playoffs. So, you know, teams definitely going to be, you know, keeping that in the back of their minds as we move through these last couple of weeks of the regular season. But, man, second win, taking Nepal in that kind of fashion, just, you know, makes you feel all warm and bubbly inside.
That is like path to pro Overwatch if I've ever seen it.
Exactly.
Between these 2 teams, just that scrappiness. We bring up South American Overwatch all the time when it comes to that, is no fight is ever lost. And, you know, Envy thinks this way too. I specifically remember last Wednesday, like everyone tries no matter how many members are on the field. There is no giving up. It's we're going to lose when we've lost.
Yeah, exactly. Every fight is winnable, winnable, winnable.
But, you know, sometimes it's not true and you do overinvest, and it is a bit of a balance. The Envy, I think, has really taken control of what that balance is. When you got a guy like Trill, then you've got someone as consistent as Elevote, too, and those supports, I mean, that's a scary team. comparing that to what we're seeing here, that's not the type of polish, not the type of game that we're seeing. This is definitely more scrappy, more like, let's go to this like weird sketchy alley and you know, and fight each other for
and like win $50 in like a hot dog eating contest.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. Thanks for finishing that off. I was not going anywhere with that. So second win gonna come in, and they're going somewhere in this game, and they're up 1-0, even though they are replacing two great members, Hedan and Technique, taking their spots respectively. Hedan's a pretty good replacement, though. He knows what he's doing, and he's from Europe, and you know, they're pretty good at go there.
Yeah, I hear that they have like some kind of special relationship with Tank. ZP can probably elaborate. But yeah, Bermuda, you know, just gonna be coming in here on the attack, and I don't know about this, Farah. It is one of those heroes that we see actually quite often, and yes, indeed, look at this quadruple DPS. OG, the only healer to be found here, so that is going to be priority number one, keeping the Mercy alive in the air. As Guru already 60% up to that barrage, that's going to be definitely a fight closer if the rest of Bermuda can't stay alive in the ensuing fray.
Ooh. Oh, but we got trades going on, 2 for each side. That's actually going to help the offense. Now Guru's going to have that rocket barrage. Hedan is going to go down. Hey, even doesn't matter when you've got a rocket barrage coming from a Guru. He's going to go ahead and take the point. Bermuda, though, coming out with like some pizzazz, right? You don't normally expect that from a winless team.
Oh, absolutely. It's like you bite into like one of those crackers and surprise, it's filled with poppy seeds, and you weren't expecting that at all. Bermuda really throwing some flavor in here. Ultima Web already very close to having that pulse bomb in hand. If you could get a great stick here, that would certainly take the wind out of Second Wind's sails.
Ooh, the pulse bomb goes through, but doesn't get anybody. Ultima Web, though, is going to get to that very, very quickly. Bermuda still on this team comp. Usually we do see teams change it up for street space, but not Bermuda. As they won that so quickly, they're like, hey, why not? We don't need to change right now. Let's see if this will work. OG going to go ahead and use that Valkyrie. You might see all of the ults get used really quickly because they might change if they do use this fight, but they're not. God's low. Seemingly is low, but the supports are there. Second Wind are going to come up on those ultimates, but not before Guru gets a second rocket barrage. It needs to be just as effective as the other one. But now we're just waiting for that moment. Here we go. This could be interesting flight pattern there, but playing very well. The Second Wind did see that coming. Uptake going to go ahead and use that pilot drive. They're still trying to make this work. And God, it's not just Barrage, it's not just Gravitas Surge, it's Pulse Bomb as well. Going to use very, very full.
Oh no, definitely some happy tummies here. Pizza Demon throws that tack visor right into the uncaring cold barriers of the Second Wind GOAT composition. Hedan has swapped over to the Moira now, you know, recognizing that Zenyatta very vulnerable to both Tracers and Pharahs from above, but Bermuda themselves making those wholesale swaps onto their own GOATs comp. Not a terrible idea, you know, try and see what you can get done with those DPS ultimates, but they have lost a considerable amount of time. 4 minutes now left to finish out Street Space, but no ultimates to speak of.
Well, Second Wind, though, they actually might be lucky as they're close to their ultimates, might be able to even things up in this fight. They want Second Wind to come. The Second also knows Bermuda wants them to use those ultimates, and you're seeing that right now. Good patient play from Second Wind, only investing the grab because they saw the switches go down. They know exactly when to jump from.
Yeah, and they know that they have such a big advantage that grab should be that fight sealer of the deal. We were on a journey right there, but we got there. So, Second Wind, they still have ultimates. We have Earth Shatter online, Bomb as well. No Forest to take out of the sky, even though Hedan will have that Coalescence in short time. Again, it's all about that tempo. So if Bermuda come in here not expecting that Coalescence, that could just be the advantage that Second Wind need to continue to hold.
So they are going to take control. Work, and now we're going to be down. They're going to get that first kill. Second Wind finding themselves on top. 2 members in. This is going to be a good defense for them.
Yeah, Second Wind again, just playing a very patient and measured game. Bermuda, they're the ones not only just in terms of standings, but also in terms of these engagements. Always on the back foot, always kind of that underdog, face pressed against the window like Tiny Tim. Can we have a little bit of Christmas cheer as well, sir?
No.
Right. Oh, so cruel, Boop. Don't shut down their hopes. They're going to have that grab bomb combo available for this next fight, and if that doesn't pan out, if Gods is just in the mood to, you know, ruin the day of yet another Zarya, Pizza Demon can still at least provide a little bit of buffer with that trance.
Zarya, remember, full spawn before, so now the Trap Hunter is going to come through, and now the as well. Did it make banks? It's hard to tell.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate right here, but hey, look at that. Hedon is dead at the hands of Pizza Demon, so he's not just good at demolishing, you know, those carb-laden bits of goodness, but deadly to Moiras. So Hedon himself will now swap onto that Zenyatta for the little bit more open space where those grabs will find more value.
Yeah, Hedon actually falling off of this field. Bermuda still on it. Their attack a ton of time has been taken off the clock. We're at about a minute and a half. Now we have the graviton surge coming from it. Technique now the counter from Pizza is going to be there. Now the rally is the receiver ultimate cover. Gods is going to get next, but Sherrick getting that first kill is going to help. That Earth Shatter though was a little bit optimistic on Sherrick's side. Did not really work out for them. Bermuda still functioning with less members. Secondly, we should give them props for how much time they've taken off of that clock.
And they might still hold this defense. There's only a couple of members of Bermuda still left here. Now they're regrouping on the high ground, forced back by Hello, I'm Halo. He's not satisfied with all of those boot kills. On Sanctum, this frog wants blood. He drinks it with his breakfast cereal. Bermuda now being forced back.
So they're going to have to re-engage here very shortly as there's a minute left on the clock. Second Wind do have Sound Barrier, they do have Self-Destruct, and looking at Bermuda, they do not have anything other than this Graviton Surge, which on another day I'd say, hey, really good stuff. The Guru has gotten 2 eaten so far. There's only been 2 mats, and a good Fire Strike going to be ripped through Bermuda, keeping a lot of them low. Umte is going to be stunned and then taken out. There's 40 seconds left. Please reset.
Yeah. Oh no, and they might not have a choice in the matter. Another Fire Strike from Sherrick rips Ultima Web's face right off that Brigida, and Second Wind are in perfect position to keep Bermuda from even getting in the same zip code as that cart. 5 ultimates online for Second Wind. Bermuda only have 3, but you're a numbers man, Boop. It's not about just those ultimates in the bank, but how you use them.
Yeah, because Second Wind are going to have 6 in the bank. Some of the CC has already started, but this is going to be one of your classic goes. Vibes, Earthshatter not going to get much. Transcendences are coming through, and Shu, though, going to take Technique's grab out of the equation. Finally, that's evening it up through Bermuda. Now the Earthshatter going to be knocked free of Second Wind on the ground. So Second Wind will have some ultimates to work with on this next fight if they're able to get back onto the payload before they're capturing this objective. Overtime spawns might be a little harder, but Bermuda well prepared as well.
Yeah, they have now those 2 defensive support ultimates here. Shu ready with that bomb. That could buy even more space, and no, there will not be a recontest. Bermuda, though, have bought themselves another minute and a half, but with the way that Second Wind have been playing, I feel like they kind of just, you know, relaxed a little bit too hard, and oh, Hedon's going to relax to the point where he just falls into pieces.
Yeah, sometimes that just happens. People go to the doctor for exhaustion all the time. That was one of those cases. Bermuda, though, finally getting that momentum on their side. It seems like when Second Wind is in control of that tempo, Bermuda doesn't know what quite to do until they win that fight. But once Bermuda has it, at least today, they've done much better when they are the ones
controlling that
They're
tempo.
The ones getting those defenses out.
Exactly, and Bermuda didn't need to use any ultimates. Second Wind gonna try their best, and Gods again delivers 3, 4 kills. This is insane production. At this point, it's just gross.
How could you, Gods?
How could you?
There are children watching. And so Second Wind now is in a good position with 30 seconds left, but that's what we thought on the last fight, which they lost with 6 ultimates at their disposal, but at least they came in with this next one with 2, keeping Bermuda from locking this thing up. 21 seconds left. This is Bermuda's last fight. If they win this, they have to win every other fight from here on out to get to the end, and they're well prepared to win this one, but they have to be thinking about what is going to be available for the next one. But then you're like, hey, I can't think too far ahead, but when there's a grab that is completely whiffed like that from Technique, it's going to make it a little bit easier for Bermuda, but the Earthshatter coming through on the middle part of that Transcendence isn't going to really help Second Wind out that much, and now the Self-Destruct is going to be coming out from Shu. Will it be as big? No, it will not. Gods will still remain the king of the bombs, or at least this round. Bermuda, though, coming out on top when it comes to those numbers. Unfortunately for them, they have to invest almost everything to win this fight. Second Wind, though, same thing. They do have a rally.
That was a very big investment from both of those teams. Technique, I don't know about that grab Technique, but irregardless, he's going to have 60% to their next one in his pocket. Speedily can buy a little bit more time with that rally, but most crucially, you want to see Hedon, Hello Halo, close to those defensive ultimates because Umte is now back in the fight and he has the shatter.
but will the Shatter find a real estate other than the ground? Yes, it will, as Sherrick was in a very interesting position going to the right, leaving his team exposed to the Shatter, but at least no one goes down by it. Maybe that's just some big brain plays. Bermuda now going to use their rally, and it's going to be the last thing they have until the Transcendence comes through, but there's going to be a Graviton Search. A good thing Pizza gets to that Trans, though it might be too little too late as OG going to be going down without that Lucio. It's going to be really hard to give up space and try to work with it. Second Wind, though, finding themselves on top of the tempo, on top of the leaderboard in terms of those kills. Ultimate Web not going to last any longer. The self-destruct from Shu needs to be world-breaking, but it is not. Second Wind will be holding on here, even though at times they lost with an ultimate advantage. They won with an ultimate advantage, so we're not saying this is the cleanest game in the world, but it sure is fun to watch. Oh,
undoubtedly, both Bermuda and Second Wind having those moments of brilliance. Unfortunately, Second Wind will be the ones putting up that full defense, keeping Bermuda from finishing out Blizzard World. That's just such a feels bad, man. You go to that theme park and you're waiting all day to like ride Space Mountain, right? And then surprise, technical issue, and you can't.
That happened to me at Cedar Point, Ohio. It was when Top Thrill Dragster, so I love roller coasters. Top Thrill Dragster was the tallest, fastest at the time. It was raining. While we got in line, it was like a 2.5-hour wait, and we did get there. We were like right at the front. We were like 3 or 4 carts behind, and then they ended up closing it down for lightning.
Yeah. Story of my life.
Yeah, and so Bermuda gets struck with lightning there at the very end, but they're hoping that lightning strikes twice against Second Wind to make sure that they don't make it to the end as well, and anything can happen, especially in the game that we've seen so far with it being so back and forth.
Yeah, Sherrick, many a time, you know, you see him setting up for those flanking Earth Shatters. It's only a question of how Bermuda responds to him as to whether or not that's successful. In that one of the later fights towards Point C, you saw him get a great pin kill onto Pizza Demon, who is transing. It only brings him back within, you know, the warm embrace of the rest of his team where he can give him all of that healing. So a little bit unlucky in terms of that charged target, but the plan is in place for Second Wind. Bermuda, on the other hand, we haven't quite seen, you know, quite as much forethought, I might say.
Sorry, just a very noticeable tonal shift there in how you mentioned those teams.
Yeah, it's not just the struggle with the, you know, throat phlegm factory right now. But, you know, here, this is why I'm pretty confident that Second Wind can get something rolling on their own attacking phase. While there were moments where, you know, they certainly kind of let the ball drop in terms of their defense, now that the win condition is set, like you said, Boop, that golden box of victory calls, they can know how to meter those ultimates and know how aggressively to take each of those fights.
And so Second Wind, they want to be up-tempo here with a guy like Gods. It's totally possible. Sherrick, too, cannot be... I think he's pretty underrated outside of dying just then. Speedily at least lessens the blow, as I'm going to finish that sentence anyway. Sherrick, you know, consistently on this Reinhardt. I think in order to be successful and find wins in this meta, you have to have a good Reinhardt. And Second Wind has been able to do that with Sherrick's big shatters in the past. Dying first there, not a good example, but in the end, he's still doing pretty great.
Yeah, too, having some great moments on Winston in the Nepal round. Will be 70% up to his shatter, leading his team really right here. But Bermuda, again, one good defense does not a map win make, so they have to be thinking about the future as well, as we were just lobbing some of those nades in, try to soften up the shield of Sherrick before Second Wind re-engages.
It's ult charge as well. If he's able to take a couple pot shots, they're going to go ahead and go around the corners. You're seeing Sherrick swing that hammer to make sure no one is hiding behind that corner. Umte, though, going to get a double kill right away against Sherrick and Speedily, who, you know, after saying something nice about him, has been kind of dying first a lot.
You have to use your powers more responsibly, Boop. You can't, you have to stop caster cursing all of these great players. Look at this. Second Wind now, 2.5 minutes to their name, 1 Transcendence in their pocket. As Bermuda, that was some good play right there, booping, nullifying Sherrick's ability to go in there aggressively as he wanted. And this actually, you know, makes me really excited for that live patch where knockback will be a much bigger factor for these teams. Re-engage comes through here. Bermuda hoping to use, you know, just one of those ults to try and seal another successful hold.
And Ultimate Whip going to get an environmental kill on it to Gods. You hear the screaming in the back. That means the whip shot made contact, and now Gods is in the drink. And so Bermuda putting up a good defense, and they didn't have to invest anything in it. Full 6 ultimates on their side. Pretty much a full 6 ultimates on the Second Wind. This next fight is going to be full of fire.
Oh yeah, put on your sunglasses, kids. This will be party of particle effects. Bermuda with that full 6-pack. Second win, we're really hoping that they could put enough pressure that Bermuda was forced to use, more ultimates than they wanted to hold. But they ended up using 0 with a really unlucky environmental kill starting things off. So now this is second win's best chance for a dedicated fight.
Oh, and it's good when the rally gets to escort you onto the objective, but there's one on the other side. Everyone has a check mark, and they're just waiting for the rallies to go through. Earthshatter, though, is going to get speedily on the ground, and Bermuda going to get a little bit better value out of it. Self-destruct not going to get anything. Bermuda still have that numbers advantage. Guru going to go ahead and invest that Graviton Surge. Bermuda looking good so far, but now they have just been victimized to the Earthshatter of Sherrick, who's finally showing up in this fight, but is it too little too late? Second Wind did find themselves some casualties at the beginning of this game. Gods is taken low as well, still not in his mech, will finally be able to get in it, but Technique going down and back to spawn. Second Wind are going to struggle to maintain any sort of presence here on the objective. 42 seconds left.
I mean, it's not just you, Caster, cursing him, me as well, Boop. I was just saying Bermuda didn't really have to seem to have any plans for these defenses, but bomb from Shu to force Sherrick to turn his shield so Umte gets a free shatter. That is the kind of great team play that has now found Bermuda within 25 seconds of full holding. Second Wind, who took them to task on Nepal. Things getting really heated here. Guru will have the grab, and Pizza Demon will have the trance. Second Wind, though, while the Transcendence is within their grasp technique, only 57% up to Second Wind's own potential win condition.
Yeah, so Hedan will have Transcendence for the Graviton Surge. When it comes out, Umte getting taken low, is going to be able to use it as the counter, but what happens after this? There's nothing available for either side. And now Ultimate Web and Pizza Demon are going to have to use their ultimate Shu, though. Gonna get that self-destruct off. That was very, very quick. He was stunned, and he's gonna get a kill on that as well. So this is looking like an even fight so far. You're seeing speedily on Doomfist. That means it's desperation time for Second Wind, who might not be able to get a single tick here on Blizzard World. Hedan, was praying to his gods right there, but unfortunately no answers to those prayers. Second Wind will be unable to see the rest of Blizzard World. Bermuda coming in with a map victory. Now we're tied up 1-1.
Ooh, unexpected stuff, Boop. Maybe it's the power of the boat shirt. I think we might have found it. Also, though, we have to remember that Second Wind is working with 2 new players, not new in the world of professional Overwatch at all. But, coming into that new team, there are always going to be, kind of those speed bumps to communication and that team play. And I think we might have seen a little bit of that on Blizzard World. Yeah, and,
this is actually something that Second Wind has been able to avoid in a lot of the additions or subtractions that they've had on the team. But replacing 2 members at once, it's proven to be a little bit less successful, but it is Second Wind. I do trust their ability to potentially come through over the half, but also we have to give props to Bermuda. A team that a lot of people just wrote off at the very beginning. There's no way they're going to win any maps. I actually saw someone call them the Shanghai Dragons of Contenders. And so, at this point, that could still ring true, right? Because Shanghai did have a couple good games, against Fusion, a couple times, 2 Game 5s against them, I believe, and they were still unable to grab the victory because as of right now, Bermuda is letting Second Wind in on fights that they should not, and eventually we could reach that critical mass where Second Wind does end up playing a little bit cleaner, they're making less mistakes, and Bermuda keeps letting them into certain fights.
Exactly. There are kind of errors that Bermuda are making, those windows of opportunity that Second Wind at a point will get their legs functioning and just walk through, right? Maybe. You don't want to work, you don't want to wait until that point. Instead, kind of try and just take the reins of those fights yourself with, even if you're on the defense, proactive, right? Always having that, plan in place, which actually, Bermuda had, good snippets here and there on
you don't hold on A without
Blizzard
a plan.
World. Exactly. Things don't just fall into place, especially in your ranked games.
Well, sometimes it's because the attacking team doesn't have that plan, or they don't know what to do with their plan. But we're here at the half, and surprisingly, we are tied 1-1 with Bermuda and Second Wind all tied up. We're going to take 6 minutes, and let's see how this thing finishes off on the other side.